When investigating high-level corruptions, your evidence must be airtight. No room for error. Hello, welcome to my journalism toolkit. In this episode, I tell the inside story of how we exposed one of Somalia's biggest aid corruption scandals, revealing how, in 2009, food aid meant for the starving was stolen and sold for profit. I'm Jamal Osman, and if you are new here, welcome to my weekly podcast where I share insights from my years as a journalist and filmmaker. So let me tell you how this story even came to me. Back when I was driving a minicab, I worked with a Somali guy who one evening said to me, "Jamal, why don't we expose the World Food Programme in Somalia?" I said, "Tell me more." So he laid it all out. He knew contractors making millions of food aid. The UN was claiming to feed millions of starving Somalis with food donations from rich nations, Gulf states, Europe, the US. That food would arrive at Mombasa port in Kenya. Then Somali contractors took control, shipping it to Mogadishu. But here is where it gets dark. Trucks loaded with bags of food clearly labeled not for sale would head straight to Bakara market, the biggest market in Somalia, where businessmen bought it in bulk. From there, it was sold across the country and even smuggled into neighboring nations. Meanwhile, the people who were supposed to receive the aid, they were literally boiling leaves to survive. That hit me hard. So I thanked him and got to work. At the time, I was finishing my final year of university, juggling assignments, but I knew this story had to be told. So I went to my line manager, Mike, and pitched it. "Mike, this is huge. People starving while corrupt businessmen are getting rich." But he wasn't convinced, so I tried again and again. I talked to people, gathered more details. Still, Mike wasn't on board. Then I remembered a trick. Remember the last story we did had a British angle, which made it a priority for the UK audience. So I dug deeper and found it that the UK government was giving £9 million a year to WFP Somalia. I went back to Mike and said, "Mike, £9 million of British taxpayers' money is being stolen." Now he was interested, and just like that, we got the green light. Now came the real challenge, proving it. Because when you are going after the UN, you better have solid evidence. First, I went to Somalia. In Mogadishu, I made contacts and kept a low profile. We started at the port, filming shipments arriving, bags clearly labeled not for sale, donated by various countries. We followed the trucks, heading straight to Bakara market, offloading into warehouses. But then, here was the problem. These businessmen knew they were doing something illegal, something immoral. They didn't want cameras around, but still, we managed to get strong visual evidence showing them selling food aid. And that wasn't enough. We had to interview some businessmen, explaining how the trade worked, and convincing them was almost impossible. So I had to think outside the box. So I decided to go to the local mosque where many of these men prayed. One afternoon, I stayed behind after prayer. One of the store owners I had met before stayed longer than others, a sign of a deeply religious man. This was my chance. As he was leaving, I walked with him and said, "You know, this food is meant for the needy. But you are not the real problem. The real criminals are the corrupt officials making millions while children starve. You are at the end of the chain." I explained to him how the whole thing works. He listened, his head down. And then finally he said, "Where is your camera?" That was it. We got him on record, obviously anonymously, confirming everything.
Sometimes we buy it from the World Food Programme officials themselves. They take us to the warehouses used by the WFP and let us load our lorries.
So we had all the visual evidence with the interviews. Next, we filmed the IDP camps on the outskirts of Mogadishu. This was the emotional core of the story. Malnourished children, starving families, people who should have been receiving the food aid. The contrast was sickening. We filmed heartbreaking scenes of children dying, literally dying in front of me because of corruption. We gathered all of it and then came back to Nairobi. In Nairobi, something strange happened. A relative called me up, said he wanted to meet. I thought, okay, just a family member checking in. He showed up at my hotel with a small black case. We went to my room and he opened it. Inside, sacks of cash. Jamal, he said, I have been sent by people who know you are investigating WFP. They are going to lose tens of millions of dollars. Take this $80,000. It's just a deposit. More will come if you drop the story. I let him talk. I asked questions about who sent him and he confirmed the names of the key players, same names that I have heard before. Then I said, your visit just confirmed that this story must be told. He got angry. Are you stupid? Don't you want the money? They'll kill you if you get ahead with this. I said, I would rather die with integrity than betray those children. I saw them dying. He didn't listen. He stormed out. With all our footage, we had to give WFP a chance to respond. We contacted them and their country director agreed to an interview.
We have had cases in the past that happened. We have investigated them. That staff is long gone and they will happen. But it is not unprevailing.
Meanwhile, we had video proof of aid being sold in open markets. We had footage of starving children. His denial made it even worse. Came back to London, edited, the story aired, and the fallout was immediate. Donor nations suspended funding to WFP Somalia. Corrupt contractors were banned. The head of WFP Somalia was quietly removed from his post. The UN announced its own investigation, eventually confirming our findings and even more. So I had learned few lessons, like every other story. The British angle mattered, although we just mentioned a line at the end. When investigating high-level corruptions, your evidence must be airtight. No room for error. Integrity is everything. They offered me money, they threatened my life, but I stood by my principles, and it made all the difference. That's the story of how we exposed one of the biggest aid corruption scandals in Somalia. If you enjoyed this episode, join me on Substack. I'm Jamal Osman, and this is my journalism toolkit. See you next time.